Daf Yomi, Tractate Bava Batra, page 172a, Kuf Ayin Beis, top of the page, with the words V'ha'idina, Delo Kav Dinan Hachi, Amar Le Rabbanan Tekone Tekinu, Mai David Avid, Man Delo Avid, Ihu D'Avsid Amshe. But today, when we do not do this, either when writing receipts, how can we avoid double collection of a loan? Rav Kahana said to him, the sages instituted taking this precaution. One who does what the sages instituted does it and protects himself from loss. And as for one who does not do so, he has brought the loss upon himself and will suffer the consequences if the promissory note is found and presented in the future. Amar lahu Rava bar Rav Shela lehanhu kasve shtare akanyasa ki kativ tu shtare akanyata iaditu yomadikanitu be katubu ila katubu yoma dekamitu be Yechid la machazeh keshikra. Rava bar of Shela said to those who wrote deeds of acquisition, meaning deeds of sale or deeds of gifts for property they acquired, when you write deeds of acquisition after the acquisition was performed, if you know the day on which you effected the acquisition, write the date on the document, but if you do not know the day on which you effected the acquisition, write the date on which you are currently writing the document. You should follow this procedure and not write an approximate or estimated date so that the document shall not appear as a falsehood. Amar lahu Rav l'safre, v'chein amar lahu Rav Hun l'safre. Ki kamitu b'shile, katubu b'shile, ve'af al gav d'mesir l'chumile, behane, ki kamaisu b'hanai, kasubu b'hanai, ve'af al gav d'mesir l'chumile b'shile. Rav said this to his scribe, and Rav Huna said similarly to his scribe. When you are writing a document and you are situated in Shili, write that the document was written in Shili. And that reminds me of Yoram Shili. Shili. And you should do so even if the matters were given over to you, meaning the transaction attested to in the document took place in Hini. When you are situated in Hini, write that the document was written in Hini, even if the matters were given to you over in Chile. Amarava Haiman Dinakich Tarabe Meazuzi Varushabe Nihili Tre Benechamshin Lo Meshavin Lahu. Rava said, with regard to this one who was holding a promissory note, 100 dinars, and he says to the court, prepare this note for me, exchange it for 2 notes of 50 dinars each, so that if the debtor pays half the debt, I will be able to give him one document and keep the other. We do not prepare the new notes for him. My time of Rabbanim Milsadin Nichalele Malve, V'Nichalele Loive, V'Nichalele Malve, Kadesh Yachoef Lipoiroi, V'Nichalele Loive, Kiehechad Nivum Shitore. What is the reason the sages have performed a matter here that is beneficial to the creditor and is beneficial to the debtor as well? It is beneficial to the creditor to keep the promissory note with the larger sum so that he can coerce the debtor to to repay him, as there is a greater incentive to pay off a larger promissory note than a smaller one. And it is beneficial to the debtor, so that when he pays half the debt, his promissory note becomes vitiated, or vitiated. Anyway, and the remainder of the sum written in the vitiated promissory note can be collected only if the creditor takes an oath that he has not received the entire sum. And Rava said further, with regard to this one who is holding two promissory notes, each of 50 dinars, owed by the same person, and he says to the court, prepare this note for me into a single note of 100 dinars, we do not prepare the new note for him. Avud Rabbanan Milsa de Nichalele Malve Nichalele Laive Nichalele Malve ki Hecha de Nivkoim Shtori Nichalele de Laive Kete Shelo Yechoif Lipoiroi. What is the reason? The sages have performed a matter here that is beneficial to the creditor and is beneficial to the debtor as well. It is beneficial to the creditor to keep the smaller notes, so that if the debtor pays 50 dinars, his promissory note will not become vitiated, which would require the creditor to take an oath before collecting the remainder. And it is beneficial to the debtor, so that the creditor will not be able to coerce him to repay the debt quickly, as there is a greater incentive to repay a larger sum than a smaller one. Ravashi says, with regard to this one who is holding a promissory note of 100 dinars, and he said to the court, prepare this note for me into one note of 50 dinars, as the debtor paid me half, we do not prepare the new note for him. My time, Amrinan Hai Mifra Par'e, Ve'amarle Ahavli Ishtorai, Ve'amarle Irchas Li, Uchsivle Tavra, Numapik Le Hai, Ve'amarle Ahai Achrini Hu. What is the reason we say, if we are concerned that the following may have happened, this debtor actually repaid all 100 dinars, and when he did so, he said to the creditor, give me back my promissory note. And the creditor said to him, I lost it. And the creditor wrote a receipt for him in lieu of handing over the promissory note. And now, if we write a new promissory note of 50 dinars to the creditor, he will present this note and say to the debtor who presents his receipt for 100 dinars, that receipt is for a different loan that you repaid. That's the end of that, and we're starting a new Mishnah. Shnei achin, echad ani ve'echad ashir, v'niach lehen avihen merchatz ubeis habad, asa'an l'sachar, hasachar le'emtza. Asa'an le'atzmo, harei ha'ashir omer le'ani kach lecha abadim, v'yirchatzu b'merchatz kach lecha zeitim, uba v'yaseh b'beis habad. In a case where there are two brothers, one poor and one rich, and their father left them a bathhouse or an olive press as an inheritance, if the father had built these facilities for profit, meaning to charge others for using them, the profit that accrues after the father's death is shared equally by the two brothers. If the father had built them for himself and for the members of his household to use, the poor brother, who has little use for these amenities, cannot force the rich brother to convert the facilities to commercial use. Rather, the rich brother can say to the poor brother, go, take servants for yourself, and they will bathe in the bathhouse. Or he can say, go take olives for yourself and come make them into oil in the olive press. Shnaim shahayu b'yira achas, Shem echad Yosef ben Shimon, v'shem achar Yosef ben Shimon. Ein yochol lahoit ishtar, choiv ze al ze. V'lo acher yochol lahotzi alehen ishtar chov. This name has come up before, I think, Yosef ben Shimon. Alright, if there were two people who were living in one city, one named Yosef ben Shimon, and the other also named Yosef ben Shimon, one cannot present a promissory note against the other, as the purported debtor can claim. On the contrary, it is you who owed me money, you repaid me, and I return this note to you upon repayment. Nor can another, third person, present a promissory note against either of them, as each of them can claim, it is not I, but the other Yosef ben Shimon, who owes you money. Nimtza le'echad ben shtarotav, Chadash Yosef ben Shimon parua, Chadash shneim paruin. If a document is found among one's documents stating the promissory note against Yosef ben Shimon is repaid, and both men named Yosef ben Shimon owed this man money, the promissory notes of both of them are considered repaid, as it cannot be determined which debt was repaid and which is outstanding. Kesed ya'asu yishalashu ve'im hayu mishulashin yichtavu siman ve'im hayu misumanin yichtavu kohen. What should two people with the same name in a single city do in order to conduct their business? They should triple their names by writing 3 generations, Yosef ben Shimon ben so-and-so. And if they have identical triple names, not only their fathers but their grandfathers are identical names, they should write an indication as to which one is referred to, such as the short Yosef ben Shimon or the dark Yosef ben Shimon. And if they have identical indications, they should write Yosef ben Shimon the priest, if one of them is a priest. Gemara, the Talmud says, Hahu shatana denafik lebeidina Rav Huna dahavi kesiv be ani ploni bar ploni deviti mana mimecha. There was a certain promissory note that was presented at the court of Rav Huna, in which it was written, I, so-and-so, the son of so-and-so, borrowed 100 dinars from you. No name was given as the creditor, but the one presenting the document claimed that the money was owed to him.